Hey, welcome back to another video, and today is a question that I get a lot, and that is, Casey, how should I invest my first $1,000? How should I invest my first $2, $3, $4, $5,000, $10,000? So I get this question all the time, and my sentiment is what I want to share here. Not necessarily an investing plan, but I will share kind of that. But anyways, I just wanted to get into what I would do if I was going back and I was starting with $1,000. So let's get into it. I've got some notes here, and we're just going to go through these. So how to invest your first $1,000. First thing I would ask you is, how is your income right now? Is your income, somebody came up to me and they said, hey, I've got 5K and I'm making $52,000 a year. So not to say anything bad about $52,000 a year, but one thing that I always tell myself is what I'm making in a year will one day be what I'm making in a month. So you have to think about the equation of wealth building, right? There's a lot of inputs. There's your income. There is how much you're actually saving, so your savings rate. There is your rate of return, and that's basically what's going to, and there's the time that you're going to spend in the market. So that's what's going to determine your level of wealth, okay? So the one that you have the most control over is your income. So if I was starting with $1,000, that's what I would focus on. So I've got right here bad income. I would try to raise your income. So choice of career. Let's talk about choice of career. So I want to talk a little bit about career fairs and basically how they're a little bit misleading, right? I don't know about you guys, but when I was in high school, they sent me through this career fair and they had the average incomes. So the thing about the average income that you don't really understand before you go out and start working and start going into different fields is that you don't necessarily make the average if you don't put in an average amount of work. So let's go to laboratory. I can't spell right now. Laboratory technician salary average US. Okay. There we go. So on average, you guys saw my last video. I brought in about $112,000 last year. So the median salary is $53,000. The 25% best paid made $68,000. So I was at 112, right? And why is that? That's because I had sources of passive income and I had other things that pay me, and I also had side hustles. I had other work. Okay. So, and even just from my lab job itself, I made $78,000. So why is that when I only have 3 years of experience? Why is that? That's because it's an hourly job and I put in more hours. So looking at these averages, I just wanted to preface that with looking at these averages, it doesn't necessarily tell the whole picture, right? Because whatever people want to tell you these days, it really does matter how hard you work at your job, how many, even if you're a doctor down here, how many patients you see, how your practice is doing, how efficient you're running your tax situation, and all those things. So I don't like to look at averages too much for that reason, because I don't consider myself to be average. I don't consider anyone to be average. The average is just the aggregate of what everybody has done. And if you look at the aggregate of what people do, there's a lot of lazy people in that aggregate. So let's look at these things. So we got orthopedic surgeon, anesthesiologist. Okay, these both require a doctorate. Okay, anesthesiologist schooling. All right, so in general, you have to complete 4 years, then 4 years of medical, then 4 years of residency. So we're already talking about 12 years. Okay, and then you have to spend 2 years in a private practice. Okay, so we're talking about 14 years. All right, so for a lot of these doctor type positions, we're talking about 12, 14 years. If you're, I don't know, let's say you're 25 out there. That's the average age of people that watch my videos. So we're adding 14 years. All right. So you're going to be 39 years old by the time you start making, let's just put you at the median salary. Okay. $333,000. Okay. So you have to wait 14 years before you can make that. Whereas if you were to go over and do one of these other jobs, which I'm going to show you, these are the uncapped potential. These are like sales jobs, ones that you can make an unlimited amount of money. Say something like insurance, like my buddy Todd Baldwin over there, or something like real estate sales. You can make your way up to making a lot of money. Something like being a tax preparer. You can get a bachelor's and you can go and based on what you do, what clients you work with, what firm you work with, you can make a lot of money that way. Basically anything that is you kill what you eat what you kill. Okay, so that's what I want people to look into. And if you like your job, you like your job. Like let's say you're a teacher and you don't want to do anything besides teach. You could do side hustles, but like I said, this is a financial channel. And if we're talking about getting financial freedom, you have to go to where the money is at. And this is where the money is at. So you see a lot of these are sales jobs. But anyways, we are beating the dead horse at this point, and I'm going to go back over to these jobs. So we see anesthesiologist, psychiatrist, once again, doctor's degree, reservoir engineer. So this one actually looks pretty decent. This one's working with gas. So if you wanted to work in the petroleum industry, these are top paying jobs over here. Okay. Associate partner. Okay. So we're talking about basically leadership skills. Once again, CRNA, doctor's degree. A lot of these things on here: petroleum engineer, that's a bachelor's degree, that looks pretty decent. Software developer, that's what my parents actually do. Dentist, once again. And one thing that I wanted to basically highlight with this is that all of these take a very long time to get to, and they take a lot of money to get to. But going back to our original topic, if you have that $1,000, you can go become a real estate agent. You can go get your licenses for insurance. You can go get a sales job. You can go basically, like, let's say you needed to buy a suit. I would buy that suit and go start selling insurance. Okay. So that's what I would do with that $1,000. Okay. If you do have a good income. So rolling back into that, if you do have good income, you really shouldn't be asking this question. Okay. You probably wouldn't be asking the question, how do I invest my first $1,000? But just to give you a blueprint of, let's say you had $5K to put in, I would probably put in 20% of these 5 shares. I would probably go VOO, Microsoft, Apple. I would probably go something like either a Costco, or what's the 5th one? Maybe, I don't know, maybe something in the financial, or something that's just solid, like Facebook. Okay, Facebook, or maybe MasterCard or Visa. So those are I would just put it into very solid companies. And the reason why is because essentially these first $5,000, $10,000, $1,000, it's not going to change your life in terms of the profits that you're going to make. Okay, if you're thinking that, then you're already thinking in the wrong direction. So the way that it's going to change your life is it's just going to change your habits. It's going to rewire you in such a way that you know that when you invest your money is a tool to go get you some more money. And that's what it originally was supposed to be, right? It's leverage, it's capital that is eventually going to make you more free, okay? It's something that can go out and attract more dollars to you. So anyways, today we talked about basically those jobs where you can go out there and you can eat what you kill, okay? So we're talking about the sales jobs, we're talking about those high earning jobs that aren't necessarily the highest average. We talked about putting in an average level of work and ending up getting an average level of salary or average level of hourly earnings, right? Because when you go to, let's say, my lab job, you see most people, they clock in right at their time, they leave right at their time, they don't put any overtime, they don't put any extra days, they don't, try to start a business on the side, they don't do any side hustles, and that's why they end up with average. And if you think about the way that the price system works, things are priced based on what people can afford. So what can people afford? They can afford, on average, the average person can afford, what they based on what they make. Okay, so what they can afford is based on what they make. So if you're making what everybody else is making, you can only afford what other people can afford. So you don't want to be in that situation. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to go over was just, this is where a lot of this information is coming from. The Millionaire Mind. We will go over a different video that summarizes this over here tomorrow. But anyways, hopefully that answers the question out there. I usually have a non-traditional answer to most people's questions, just because I'm not trying to sell you guys anything. I'm just trying to get you guys to click the links in the description, if anything. But that is free for me, that is free for you, and it costs neither of us anything, makes us both some money. So I'm not trying to sell you guys courses. I'm just trying to give you guys the real. So hopefully you guys like the video. See you guys in the next video.